Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater, and today we're going to be reading episode 53 of Trailer Park Warlock. Picking back up from where we last left off. I always, every time I say that phrase, I gotta find a new phrase, because I sometimes will trip up on it. Anyway, picking back up from where we last left off, we see Jacques Pointu and Henry. They are still at the Battle of Barossa, but things are gonna get a little bit weirder in a second. So the others, do you think they may be here with us? Je ne sais pas. I do not know. Henri, we may be lost in la magie for eternity. So, fade. Ha ha. Mr. Pointu, you fell asleep? You must have really hit the bottle, mate. So now we see Pointu a little bit older. He's got beard, longer hair. Believe it or not, I'm almost done here. Just in time for arriving in Haiti, too. How you feeling about transfiguration? So now we're kind of seeing a little bit more about how Pointu got all of those sigils, right? Because we saw this tattoourgy on him previously in the season, at the beginning, and we can kind of put together some of the context clues. There'll be more as we go along, but this was the point at which Pointu was preparing for a transfiguration. He was a pirate at the time. Crash, thud, wham. Find me, Pointu. Crash. Captain, what are you dressed like that for? Mr. Khalili, rope up that man and set up the plank. After I fetch my clothes, we'll talk about that rat arsehole Rue failed to kill. Devils of the Sea. Alright, pirate boat time. This is actually a lot of fun. I had to find a fair amount of reference before I could get this panel done. Leah, s'il vous plaît, I am sorry. Save your sorries for the deep and murky, Jacques Pointu. I'm putting this bloody nightmare to an end before you ever have the chance to transfigure. Now hobble on off and leave me in peace. Captain, if I may... You may, Mr. Graves. May be privy here to Mr. Pointu's crime. Mr. Graves, this naked-ass, two-faced French snake in the grass betrays your dear captain in more than a century's time. Oh, well, I have many questions about that. Maybe we could have a moment to inquest further, Captain? I'm afraid not, Mr. Graves. Duty now for the future and all that. Little Devo reference for anybody who can pick that one up. It's just, Captain, if I may, Mr. Pointu has served so valiantly, both yours and Captain Henry's crew. This seems such a drastic turn to myself and the other members of our vessel. If, say, you have knowledge that he were to betray you in such a future time from now, perhaps the course of your conjoined histories might be changed without fatal course? Perhaps you and Mr. Pointu could discuss a new history together? Mr. Graves. Dear, sweet Mr. Graves. Your words have given me more to ponder than you will ever know. It pains the hell out of me to say this, but you're going to need to walk the plank too, mate. Sorry, but rules are rules. This is actually one of my favorite gags. Swash. There's one bloke we're keeping, it's Mr. Graves. You can have the Frenchman, Captain, but you'll have to take him with you. And so, Leah's plan didn't work. I forgot how much the men fancied Mr. Graves. He was kind to us all, Leah. What do you think? You are not bound. Would you untie me and we could go our separate ways from here? What happened to my accent? There's too many accents. I'm going to try that one more time, y'all. Please forgive me. He was kind to us all, Leah. What do you think? You are not bound. Would you untie me and we could go our separate ways from here? Nah, that's all right. Sticking to my course. I'm going to do Henry the favor and rid his life of you, and if you don't mind, I'll just watch and savor the moment. Leah is like, I'm trying to do Cockney accent, and she's like vaguely like slipping into Australian. Oh, guys, everybody, I'm having a hard time. I figure when you're gone, I'll get my ship back. Then me and Henry can live our true callings as devils of the sea. Won't be living endless servitude anymore as a glorified feather duster. Or an overfed house cat, for that matter. But Leah, we all agreed it was for the best. For our protection from the hunters, the armed guard. We were always equal on the estate, no? That's a laugh. Equal? You know, I've thought a lot about this, Jack, and I figured me and Henry could have taken over the hunters easy peasy. We didn't need to hide. You suckered Henry into thinking that hiding was for the best, didn't you? You always knew how to play Henry like a grand piano. I bought it then, but I ain't buying it now, you scheming bastard. The future can come what may, but I'll take on the hunters alone if I have to. I'll tear them limb from limb. I'll have their heads on pikes and the whole bloody show to make my point. Captain Leah the Sharkhard Brigand doesn't turn tail. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So at this point, Pointu has sunk beneath the waves. Serves him right. Captain Leah paused for a time to watch her ship sail into the horizon. The night slipped in like a rusty blade through a dead man's chest. Satisfied with her revenge, Leah was ready to swim to shore. Any shore. Next week on Devils of the Sea. Captain Crookshank? We vampires win again. We always do. Blip. So now we've cut to Jake, right? It gets a little bit surreal here. So let's go back down. Let me see Jake's trailer. Jake walks out. Getting tired of reruns. They need to come out with a new season already. What is this? Cobblestone? When do they... Tap, tap. Jake's actually a little too tall for this panel. Looks like he would be a giant in his trailer. Pull out to see... Jake is definitely not in Colorado anymore. For a second there, I was beginning to think it was all a bad dream. But it ain't. It's also the first time we get to see Jake as a human in quite some time. I was actually kind of excited to draw these panels because it was like, I miss drawing human Jake. We've had him as a cat for forever, and I was like ready to have him back in action. So clearly we'll explain more, right, as we go along. The next episode, I think, is kind of the peak in... I think for a lot of people were a very confusing set of episodes. But it will all be explained, like I said, and clear as y'all can tell, it kind of impacted me a lot because I felt very confident in the course that I was going. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I was doing. I just also knew that it would be different and would be quite... It could be hard for certain people. And I still feel... I don't know. It's weird because I still feel kind of bad for all the people I confused. But I also feel really good for what I ended up doing. I still feel really strongly about this season, regardless of how a lot of people responded to it. You know, it's not like I need to defend it or whatever. You know what I mean? I just do feel defensive. Clearly. But this is a fun episode nonetheless. I really liked the I still think the verbal interplay between Leah and Mr. Graves works pretty well. It's a fun little back and forth conversation. And this was another thing that I really liked about these sets of episodes was that I could kind of switch genre a little bit between episodes, and being able to play with all the like historical stuff was just really fun. I don't know if I I've thought about this before of like, oh, maybe I should make a story at some point that is entirely like this time, that time period, um, especially like Napoleonic warfare time period. It would require a lot of more extra research. I do like drawing a lot of the stuff from that period. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting period to think about because it was this very, on many different levels, very revolutionary, anarchistic period of time um, in history, or in Western history anyway. And there's a lot that's been done about it. So if I did do it, it would have to be within the framework of like the TPW universe, right? The TPW cinematic universe. Anyway, so I think that's all I have to say for now. But if y'all have any thoughts or comments in regards to the Trailer Park Warlock cinematic universe, or just like a lot of the historical stuff going on in this storyline, your thoughts about the way that I'm telling this story right now, your thoughts on my accents, any of that, about all of the above and below. Feel free to leave a comment. Give this video a like if you could. I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't. And also, if you want to talk to me on Twitter, you can do so. It's at Matt J. Rainwater. On Instagram, it's at Matthew Rainwater. You can also subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/MattJRainwater. And of course, you can read Trailer Park Warlock for free on Webtoon. Currently, as of this recording, when you see it, who knows? But as of this recording, I'm working on season 4 of Trailer Park Warlock. Exciting stuff going on. It is what I would call part 1 of the beginning of the end for the series. Anyway, more on that as we go along. I will talk with y'all again soon, and until then, have a good one, and later.